So that's what the big thing is today. We're going to go through the different projects so everybody in the room can see what those projects were, what they're working on, what kind of needs that they have, and different things like that. Are we doing next week's event, Lynn? Mm-hmm. The other thing that we love to do, and it's always been a little bit weird because we used to roll it into this one thing, is we wanted to have not only support the projects that we are officially doing within the studio, but we know that there's a lot of other development that happens on campus as well. And we don't want to just be like, it's us versus them, right? You know, you're competing with us. We want to support that as much as we can. Something we did notice is when we tried to cram that all into one day, it got really confusing. Because if you're signed up for the studio classes, you're required to work on a studio project as part of the curriculum. Well, then we call them the rogue developers, right? The other projects that are going there, it's like, well, how do I recruit if you're stealing all of the people and different things like that? So next week, we are going to run another event to support the rogues. Is that correct? Am I lying?
We're supporting them today.
We're supporting them today, see? Oh, she's making me talk. So we do want to support those projects. We want to get you people. We want to become a matchmaking service, right? And try to link people up. It also gives you an opportunity on those projects. They can be ramped up and built up into a studio project that may happen. The other thing in that general vicinity is I have a project that I'm holding in the wings right now that won't go into production this term. It's just not ready. But it's an external project, and if we get a super glut of designers, we might pull some designers in and actually start pre-production on that so we could launch it in the spring. So that might be floating out there. For the most part, I don't think we're going to make too big of a change on what I'm about to say, but I'm not opposed to it. We also are slowly going to migrate our studio model over into you work for the studio, you are on a team. And that's a little bit different way of thinking, right? Now, I don't think for the most part it's going to have an impact this term, but we do find that there are times where, like, you know, at the beginning of a term, all the teams are cranking away, and all of a sudden one team has a really, really big need for an artist or a programmer or something like that. We want to start thinking about shifting resources. We want to start thinking about, like, oh, yeah, you could go over here, help them out, get them back up to speed, and move them back. You're waving. I thought you were waving at me. What did I say wrong now, Lynn? So again, for this term, I don't think you're going to see any major changes that way. But again, come and talk to us if you're having a need where, like, hey, you know, at the beginning of the term, we thought we needed this, but things shifted. We have this hole. We have a lot of resource in this room, right? We can actually say, hey, you know, this team right now, they just needed a bunch of artists, so the programmers are sitting and waiting. Why don't we move this program over here, fix this stuff, and then move you back, or things like that. So you might see some of that if it creeps up. There's no big plans to completely, like every 3 weeks, we're going to rearrange you guys all into new teams. We're not going to do anything that evil, although I want to. My dream class is to make a class run for like until midterm, and then midterm just put everybody on a different project and let them finish. That sounds fun to me. Students, not so much.
There's also a game jam that does that.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. Okay, now do I get to give it to Lynn?
Okay. Actually, you want to talk about our new schedule?
Sure. So we mentioned a little bit. Awesome. So I find it funny that I'm going to tell you, and it's going to sound like I made all these great decisions. Lynn did all the work. She built this. So obviously, 10:30 to 11:30 is still going to be this meeting every week. So we'll do the milestone reviews and different things like that. That hasn't really changed. Today we'll be doing the recruitment event and different things like that. Lynn was generous and gave you an entire half an hour for lunch. I eat in 10 minutes, so that's like 20 minutes too much. So kind of keep that in mind. Something that, because you guys are very visible, especially in the Commons, and I don't know if this was talked about in the faculty meeting this week, you are going to start to feel a big push about eating in the public areas, eating in the Commons and things like that. If we can lead by example there, it might actually be good. Now, what does that mean to me? I don't know what was actually said officially. What that means to me is, like, if you have a bottle, you know, of soda or some candy or something like that, nobody's going to say anything. That's fine. You know, if you're carving up a turkey in front of the computer. We had it one time where somebody had like a metal tin and was like eating a whole bird and sitting in a computer. I'm just like, that's kind of weird. So, as a general rule, if your food is messy and on a plate, you're probably going to start to have people come up and say, hey, you know, move on, get out of the commons and stuff like that. I don't eat at my computer, and I bought it because I got way too much money in my keyboard and mouse to be dropping breadcrumbs into them. So kind of keep that in mind, and if you, I'm not saying you guys have to police it, but if you do lead by example, again, some chips, little things like that, I don't think anybody's going to say anything. Use the wet wipes.
I'm still editing over here.
Okay, that's fine. So that's lunch. Then I believe, if I remember right from the schedule, after lunch is the leads meeting. It has been bumped up a half an hour. I think it used to be at 1, so it's at 12:30. This was done in order to get the meetings to not overlap. So Lynn, Hugh, and I and the leads will all meet for the leads meeting. But we found it very odd that just because you're leading a project doesn't necessarily mean you might not also want to go to the programming meeting or the art meeting or the design meeting, because that's what you do as well. So we've staggered these now so that the leads meeting happens first, and then the discipline meetings happen after that. So these are the 3 that we're going to run. They're no different than what we've done in the past. Hugh will be in 107, Lynn will be in 106, and we'll start in the small comments. We'll see. We should probably take over 108 so we can just take that entire block. I don't know. Did I miss anything? Team meetings. Oh yeah, team meetings after lunch. Up to the leads meeting.
So leads, we're not trying to micromanage here for your schedule. You've got a lot of flexibility in there. We don't see you again until 12:30. So if you can get your intro stand-up video done in 10 minutes, great. But these are the goals for today, just making sure that you get a start on this. You're going to have all day to accomplish it. And so normally we get out of here at the top of the hour, so you still have a lot of flexibility in here. But we're going to try to...
I think Lynn got all the Access Office stuff working this week, so we should be good there.
Except for Red Rhino, I need to talk to you after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then after that, after the meetings, the rest of the day, and this is another change to my understanding, is let's crank some stuff out. Now you'll notice that I think you guys used to meet up at 4:30. I was usually off doing other stuff. Now we're like, you know what, that last hour, while it's still a scheduled hour, and we're going to be checking to make sure that you're here and working, we want you guys working. It's more valuable to get work done than it is to come in here and hang out with us for an hour. But we will kind of wrap up at the end of the day, so the last 15 minutes we'll sign out, we'll make sure everything's going right here. A request here, Lynn's too nice, so she will sell the nice version of it. Lynn will stay here till like 8 o'clock and try to find you so that you don't get dinged on the sign out thing.
Oh, that's a stretch.
I'll leave at 5:30 and just count you not there. I don't care. It's a different personality, I think. But try to be punctual on this kind of stuff. I know sometimes it feels like I spend all my time doing all these like nicky-nack paperworky tasks. That's a reality of how the business world and the real world works. You can be the best employee ever and get yourself fired because you don't do this stuff. And now I'm not going to say do what I'm about to say. You can be average and be really good at this stuff, and perception of you is like, wow, this guy's great. Be good and do this stuff well, and you have it made. All right, I'm trying to get you guys to pitching, but Lynn keeps making me say things.
Well,
What
you
else
said
do we got?
everything is on my list. So
I think that's everything on the list.
Go ahead and turn the audio off on your phones. And we are recording, so leads, you know the routine. Make sure that your camera is on you and adjusted, speaking from the podium and not out where Professor Derek is. His voice is loud enough, so it carries. But the list again is Morpheus, Rain and Rebellion, Red Rhino, Call Center Simulator. We are running just a little bit behind. So come on down.
Who's first?
Started. First is Morpheus.
Morpheus. Sneaking up.
Hello. I'm Roger Shulligan. I'm team lead for Morpheus. We've been in studios for 2 semesters. This is going to be our 3rd, and we're quite excited. So Morpheus is a game about shape-shifting. So in this game, you take control of a blue wispy spirit. His ability is to capture creatures. So you'll explore this world. You'll find various types of creatures. Some are robotic, some are natural, some are fantasy. And they all have different abilities. The abilities allow you to solve puzzles, explore the world. I didn't change that, I'm sorry. And that allows you to just, get into other areas and find, more things. So that's Morpheus in a nutshell. There is a story behind it, but we take an interpretive approach. So what I mean by that is you play through the game and you find things and you kind of figure out what they mean to you. But there is things that you'll see and you go, okay, that makes sense. So you can see we have this crazy, mighty looking eye, and this thing judges you and watches your every action. And you're kind of in this dream-like world. And you're trying to figure out why you're there. So you can see we got some art here. That's a final model over there for the sword. And that's some poster art we made for Game On last semester. This kind of gives you a general idea of what we're looking for in terms of color and style. Early on, when I first conceptualized this game, I thought a lot about Wind Waker. So that kind of toon look, maybe not too cartoony, a little bit more on the realism side, but if you ever played Okami, that game has some of the style that I'm looking for. So if you really want to make something stylized, definitely jump on our team, and we can really crank that out. Here's some more art for our forms. So we reworked some of our creatures. A big one was the slime and the cockatrice. We really didn't like what we had for the slime. He looked like a gumdrop before. With this, he's more jiggly and slime-like. And with the slime, he can split into 4 different smaller slimes. So we actually have 3 different models. We have one for the large, the medium, and then the small. And his mechanic's pretty cool. You can split, and then you can control each one separately. And then we have the cockatrice, which Harlan, he's an alumni. He was team lead for not for Morpheus, team lead for Oddity. And this is let me make sure the sound's off. This is what he's been working on for the last couple weeks. We're trying to find that style because currently our game's kind of lacking in that. So this is still early on. He's working on textures. A big thing he added here recently was the feathers. And he's been working on a rig for it, so you can see we got a nice pose. He made all 3 of these actually. He also made Metal Mite, which is, we also call him Electric Bug. That's the little guy up there. He can actually, I guess, vaporize into electricity and travel through like metal conduits. So we have a lot of interesting creatures here, and we're still designing them. So if you want to jump on the team and figure out really interesting powers that will allow us to, solve puzzles and all of that, come join us. Oops. So yeah, getting into that, designers. We need designers. Last semester we focused quite a bit on levels and the world. Looking back, I kind of realized that was sort of a mistake. We did develop a lot of stuff and it was really cool, but I feel like we need to take a more mechanic-driven approach. We need to really figure out what our forms do and then build puzzles around them. And the world, obviously. So the 2 most important things is figuring out what the forms do and then figuring out the interactions. And then we can start building the puzzles. So I think that's going to be a much better approach. And we'll work through it and we'll figure things out. I learn things every semester, so. We also need artists. So this is a little bit longer list here. I really want, like, this semester, I'm treating it like a form semester. Let's really crank out these forms, make them feel good. If I pick up the controller and start playing, I should, like, immediately start having fun. So artists, I want to really figure out these forms and make them look really, really good. And then, of course, we have environmental stuff. So as we're working on mechanics for the forms and figuring out puzzles, we can build assets for those mini levels. So foliage, rocks, buildings. This is a very ancient game, so there's a lot of temples and runic buildings, so we really want to crank that out. I use a lot of blue emission in this game, so. We also need programmers. So getting into the design part, we're figuring out form abilities and all that. We have a really fantastic ability system that allows you to just drag abilities into different forms, and you can swap them in and out. So if we don't like how the jump ability is working, we can make a new one and keep the old one and just swap it out. I'm also a programmer. I take pride in it. I've learned quite a bit about good and bad. I used to use game managers all the time, and I feel like with a big project, they eventually lead to a spaghetti code. I mean, unless you're very careful. But there's another side of that coin. There's the event-driven approach, and I find that it actually solves a lot of problems with game managers. And it really allows you to start plugging things together and have scripts talk to other scripts without them knowing about each other. It's really flexible, and I can teach you all of that. In fact, in the first couple weeks, I actually show you coroutines, events, and properties, which if you don't know what those are, you'll definitely know them after working on this project. And there's a really funny picture of what our forms actually do underneath the hood. So yeah, I showed this off last semester. We have a demo online. This was actually built by me, and Todd helped a little bit. Todd's always there. He's like my side man. I did this to kind of prove what I wanted to do with this semester, because again, with last semester we did a lot of world building and level design. With this, I focused on the forms and really looked at the controller, because we play with an Xbox controller. And really started thinking about how many buttons we were using versus, you know, how many abilities we had, and I figured out the wolf, wow, he's really boring, he only has one button. And we were really able to figure out how to make that feel better. This right here was done by me in like a couple weeks, and this is just showing off some of our forms. This is the mag ball, he's the magnetic form, reminiscent of Breath of the Wild, but we actually do more with it. So he actually grapples with things, and he can latch objects into his hand and charge them up and shoot them. But right here, it's very reminiscent of Breath of the Wild, but we do have extra things we want to do, because I feel like that game didn't use it as much as they should have. But yeah, you can see we kind of have the style here, and the different forms. So, and you can see the art, like I said, it's not quite there. Harlan's the only guy we have working on the creatures, so he's you know, straining. We need character artists, so if you're really into that, please come help us. But yeah, and that's the old cockatrice, just to give you an idea of how, you know, what that was. Oops, not full screen. Oh yeah, this is a cool little part. This is from first semester. So yeah, something I didn't mention, this game is based around repairing the world and your sword. I don't know if you've noticed, but the sword in that one slide was kind of broken into pieces. So right there you saw the bridge came together when I plugged that in. Everything kind of revolves around that theme, and I keep full screening these things. Okay, so we offer internships. I'm in charge of Infinitive Game Studios. Harlan is my partner, and we have had like 4 or 5 interns. I think we're up to 5 now. So if you're interested in working on this project, I can task you, give you art, design, programming tasks. And people, they've thanked me. They say, wow, if it wasn't for Morpheus, I wouldn't have had a fantastic portfolio piece. So that makes me feel good, because that's my goal, is to make something that is impressive. So now we have 5 alumni, because I graduated last semester, so I'm on that list now. We have Jonathan Weiner. He's a fantastic designer. We have Sadia. I believe she's at High Res Studios. I don't know what she's working on, but she's working there. She's online with us, so if you're on Discord on our channel, which you will be if you're on our team, you can talk to her directly. And then we also have Adam Moore. He's teaching 125 this semester, and he's hanging out in the library if you ever want to see him, but he takes care of social media and all that. So a lot of people you can meet and work with and get connections. And Adam Moore, he's fantastic with connections, so if you ever need that, he can do that for you. So yeah, thank you. This is Morpheus, and I hope that I got you excited about it. And yeah, I hope to see you out there by the tables. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Bart Driscoll. I am the project lead of our game Reign in Rebellion. So Reign in Rebellion was an idea brought to the school from two industry vets, Doug and Daryl, who are sitting right over there. They came to us with an idea that they've worked on outside by themselves that was inspired by stuff that they used to work on in the game industry. And when they brought it to us, not only did they believe in the idea that they had already created, but they believed in us to kind of take it to that next step and bring it into kind of a more modern sense to more modern gamers. So the game's concept is a sort of third-person action game where you have team-based combat and also you're going to have solo combat in sort of more smaller condensed maps to where the fighting will always be happening in different parts of the maps. The maps will have different kinds of styles and also different game modes encompassed in those maps to fit the two teams. And the two teams we have styled in two different kinds of ways. We have one that is more kind of a fantasy, wizards, spells, magic kind of idea, and we have another one that is more of a steampunk, mechanical, inventive kind of team. And both of those teams have their styled clothing, weaponry, and own kind of maps that will be sort of themed to each one. Let me show you what we have so far of the gameplay. So here we have one of our more completed maps, and we have the two teams that you can select, different classes that you can select of them, and then we have immediately them running around the map and fighting each other. Right now we're watching one of our more complete characters, the Wizard, who is more of a ranged character. Both of them are ranged characters, who hurls fireballs at the enemy to kind of ward them off or do damage, but is also more of a support class that can heal her teammates as well as protect herself and push enemies away. And so this map is sort of a temple of theirs that they seclude themselves and study, but it is recently being attacked by the other team and being raided. So, what we want to get done this semester is completing that first map, getting it completely done, whether that be creating new smaller assets and props to fill up the map with, or designers to help us lay out that map or make new additions to it. And then we may want to complete one of our other maps. I'm not going to get into that. The other big task that we want to get done this semester is sort of completing out different parts of the game's specifically gameplay. We haven't had much time to focus on that yet, so there are different parts of it that we don't like or haven't been worked on at all. Besides actual in-game stuff, we want to generate more UI assets for our menus to make them look better and to, I guess, seem more seamless to the player. So what we need to complete our goals this semester from you guys is programmers to help us with our online and our gameplay, UI artists to help us with our different map assets, and sorry, not map assets, menu assets. And then we need designers to help test and build different parts of our game. Thank you.
All right, Doug and Daryl, I see you in the audience. Can I invite you down for 2 minutes to inspire our crowd? Tell us just a little bit about So I got you in the house. I've got to have you speak.
I'm not sure if those were inspiring words. Tell me about it.
What I'm trying to do actually is let Bart take the lead because he's really good at it. What you're going to notice right here is I'm going to speak a lot and Daryl's probably not going to say anything. So that's usually how it works. Yeah, he's the pretty guy. My background is I worked at Electronic Arts for 11 years. I started there as a customer support rep and went as far as working on Madden football as a producer. My heart kind of lives in quality assurance, so I became a QA director. That's where me and Daryl met. We worked for a local company here called Cheyenne Mountain. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Stargate World. Erin Ali is actually, I know her very well. She is phenomenal. She went off the Blizzard, and she's amazing. When I met her, she actually, when you mentioned that, was the reason I was like, man, UAT knows what they're doing, because she came in and hit the ground running, and she is fantastic.
You should have seen her when she was here.
Yeah, I can't imagine. So we had two tornadoes. The other one, her name was Rebecca, and when those two got together, it got kind of scary. Things just got done, and people didn't realize that they were getting beat up at the same time. So the game industry, to piggyback on what he talked about earlier, it's tough. It's real tough. I can tell you a lot of the rules and regulations you have in the game industry now are from when I was at EA. So, I mean, EA Spouse, I was there, I know those guys. The crunch time, I understand crunch time. I don't believe in crunch time. I'm an agile advocate right now. I'm a quality assurance professional that works at an educational company, and I can tell you we crank more product out in 2-week iterations with no overtime. So, and I've worked on games like The Sims and Madden and stuff like that, and Spore. You know, you can do that. You just have to believe it, and you have to trust the process. Because as soon as you deviate from Scrum, you get into Scrum butt, and then that becomes something completely different. Now you're getting punked at 2 o'clock in the morning again, for no reason. So what I will tell you is, again, take advantage of what you have here. Even if it's a project that you're not necessarily 100% on, experience on projects, time in the seat is critical. Right? I'm also a football coach. I coached football for 20 years. And what I always tell people is your kids are going to learn stuff in practice, but nothing is better than playing in the game. Right? So I've watched this project. I've watched Red Rhino. And I know you guys, I mean, this whole thing with the t-shirt thing is the bomb. First thing Daryl said when he walked in, it's like, dude, you got to get t-shirts. I said, yeah, I know. So next time, hopefully, we'll have t-shirts. But that experience of doing this is second to none, because it's tough getting in the game industry. There's 1,000 people wanting to do what you guys are doing right now. Keep at it, stay dedicated, and just believe in your team and make the commitment. So if you want to know how to succeed in Agile and be successful in Scrum, it's about the commitment. And so one thing I will say on exiting is that team of guys that I've been working with for 2 semesters, unbelievable, second to none. You know, are we as far along as I want to be? No. But are they second to, I'd take any one of those guys right now and hire them if I could. So they're absolutely amazing. And I think we're given a gift, you know. So if you want to blame somebody, it's all Hugh's fault, because we've known Hugh for a while too. He was at Cheyenne with us. So, but at any point, if anybody has anything they want to ask me about being in the industry, I've worked at the big one. So, and I don't play their games anymore. So, you know, never play a game anymore that I tested. You know, it's just what it is. I've seen them too many times. So. But I'm totally available. Lynn's got my contact info. Daryl, he's a wealth of knowledge. I swear he talks, you know, but you got to get after him. So. But yeah, at any point you guys want any questions for me, I'm more than happy. Doesn't matter. But, you know, right now I think Lynn's got me on Team UAT somehow. Great. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Call Center Simulator, we're going to take you next, and I see Demo in the house. I'm going to ask you to do the same thing.
Yep. We've got him as a part of the presentation. Right. Pardon me? Fix your camera.
Hello, social media.
And where were we? Why? Damn it. Alright. Sorry. We'll discuss that after class.
That's how I'm going to fund the pizza party this year.
Perfect.
Tardy jar.
Alright, good morning guys. I am Austin Harrington. If you don't know me, I'm the creator of Call Center Simulator and one of the lead designers for Monster Vault Entertainment. I'd like to talk to you a little bit this morning about what we're doing and what we need moving on into this semester. I'd like to start by welcoming up my boss, the president and founder of Monster Vault Entertainment, Mike Demo Densmore, to talk about what Monster Vault is doing with the project, how we got involved, and where we're taking the company.
As Austin was saying, I am Mike Demo Densmore. I am the president and founder of Monster Vault. I am an alumni. I'm a game art and animation as well as a game designer. Lynn and Derek, no, Lynn's hiding in the back. Lynn taught me pretty much almost everything I know except Maya, because I hate it. He gets it. Yeah, pretty much. I started off with the company on my exiting out of UAT, mostly because I wanted to work in the industry, but I kind of looked at it as my lotto ticket. I wanted to invest in this lotto ticket to push on to greater and better things that I want to create and share with you guys as well as the entire world. I've worked on several projects, released few. One of them's still stuck in Steam Greenlight due to other issues. But yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster. I actually came across Austin from my programmer. He told me about the project. I was in the middle of another project. We lost our current programmer before I pulled in Ryan, as well as most of you will know him. He told me about it over drinks, and I was interested about it and where it could actually potentially go. I sat down with Austin. He explained to a greater level and what we're actually using for Call Center Simulator. One thing that I didn't know about was Spatial OS and what the capabilities are for Spatial. Sure, it's still in beta in essence for what it is, but it gives us the opportunity to push into massive multiplayer VR, which I have been wanting for a very, very long time, since the days of Lawnmower Man. So with that, when he told me that, I was just thinking, all right, cool, what are we talking, like 8, 10 people in one room? He told me about 1,300 and I about died. I was just like, let's do it. I want World of Warcraft VR simulation. Let's go. Because Derek knows from the VR history, it's always an experience. It's always a short 1 to 2 hour, $40 experience where you feel kind of empty, as well as your wallet. I want a game that you can spend lots of time sharing it with your friends, sharing it with random people across the globe, and being entertained at a massive level. We are on the forefront of a new industry. It is a lot like the mobile market when it first started. It started out in its infancy, hit by a tidal wave. Now you have that pick and choose kind of area with the mobile market. VR is still in its infancy, and with Austin, as well as the help from my team, I want to push it into a whole new era and style and bringing the massive multiplayer feature to VR. And that's why I'm happy to work with Austin as well as my very talented team and pushing in the forefront of actual Spatial OS and working on that kind of a level. Anything else?
I think that's it. Thank
Fair
you so much,
enough.
Mike.
Oh, you're welcome, and I'm taking some more.
Mike's been a wonderful boss for us. He is, while I'm leading the team on grounds, he has been very active. He's been giving us art as well. We have an art team with Monster Vault that has been very helpful with our team as well, so we'll get into that in a little bit. So what is Call Center Simulator? It sounds like a boring name for a game. It's actually a deceptive title. This is a first-person shooter in VR. It is not violent. It is Nerf guns. When I worked at GoDaddy.com, we used to have Nerf gun fights all the time because the job was terrible and we needed to blow off some steam. So we want to make a game about that. It is virtual reality. We are cross-platform for the HTC Vive and Oculus Rift. Mike went on, or covered it a little bit, but we are a persistent multiplayer sandbox. Think World of Warcraft. That's the kind of server capacity we have access to. I'll explain how in a little bit. Let's see. Interactivity is everything. So we want to have an environment where anything in the environment you can pick up, you can use, and there is a gameplay application for. If you want to, for instance, go to a soda machine, you can take your controller, it is full motion, press the button on the soda machine, have it dispense a soda, pick it up, shake it up, throw it as a grenade, have it explode. Ideas like that that are gameplay relevant are things we haven't seen before, so we really want to push that into this game. I'd like to show a small video just kind of showing the process that we've come and how far we've come so far. Let me turn this down a little bit. Wait. No.
You used to call me on my.
Okay. So, this game. So, this game started as a prototype that I worked on with Josh Kazel. It was just supposed to be a joke about GoDaddy.com. It was for a class, and we really liked what we got out of it. This is obnoxious. So to start, we just wanted to get interactivity in. We wanted to pick things up. We wanted to have collision with them. We wanted a Nerf gun that we could load by putting a dart into the barrel, cock it by pulling back a cocking mechanism, and fire. We got that. It was great. We got score and we got a number of other things. When Monster Vault came in, we started working on full production through the Greenlight program. We started building out office environments, started getting assets. This is actually a demonstration of our inverse kinematics local movement system, where we're trying to get as close to motion capture as we can with just a headset and 2 controllers. We don't have legs in yet. That's something we're working on now, but we're really excited that you can dab in our game. So we think this is a really fun, emotive way that we can experience multiplayer VR. Spatial OS, as Mike touched on a little bit, is a really cool multiplayer platform that developers are in large part not using, especially not for VR. So we started experimenting with how we could incorporate multiplayer into our game, as we did want to have a always online video game. So that was the very basics of our Spatial OS, and as we continue to work with it, we figured out how to get our gun mechanics in, how to start getting our environments interactive. And so, as you can see, this is one of our more recent environments. Our finalized movement system isn't in. We do have teleport right now. As you can see, we're early on yet with the gun. We can pick up and cock our gun as well as fire it. And as we will see in just a moment, this is now a fully interactive multiplayer sandbox that is a player coming up. This is a stand-in character model that we're using. You can fire, you've got full physics, you've got everything you need to have a slap fight or drink some coffee or whatever you want to do in this game, which we're really excited about. I'll show you some more footage of it in a little bit, but we'll move on. So where are we right now? We do have our VR multiplayer functionality. We are limited by the number of headsets we have available. That's where we're at, which is pretty exciting. We have a persistent multiplayer sandbox, which means as long as the server is on, we don't reset. If you throw a chair and we leave the server on for a week, that chair will remain in the same space until someone else moves it. Pretty cool stuff. Moving forward, we are working on a movement system that we think is really compelling. It's something no one's ever done before. We're looking on creating some variants in our levels and implementing some of our, 4 of our structured game modes. For release, we're looking at getting a tutorial in, more guns, a weapon upgrade system, and more interactivity. So, let's move into what we need for the team. We need 3D artists. We are going for a realistic, high-quality look for our art. As you can see from some of these assets, I feel like we've got a really great style. One of the things that we're doing with our art is we are trying to brand everything. You play Grand Theft Auto, it's fun because they have all the brands. It's kind of funny in a way. So we have the Fumting TV brand. We have the Snapper brand stapler, the Corvette of staplers. And we're trying to keep that going, which we think is a lot of fun. Spatial OS has been mentioned a couple times, so I want to talk about it. Programmers. This is one of the most interesting things happening in computing right now and has far-reaching implications beyond gaming. A company called Improbable was purchased by Google because they were using the Google Cloud to basically use the background supercomputer to deal with memory and graphic processes on a server. The information is streamed back to your device, meaning when it is fully set up, you can have significantly better graphics and performance on a device that otherwise would not be able to run your game. This is really amazing. Because we have access to the Google Cloud, we are not limited in almost any sense in terms of the scope of our environments or in terms of our player base. This is really cool. Programming for it is a little bit different, so this will be an educational experience for anyone that comes on the project. Just know, the people using this right now are AI developers. Elon Musk is using it for both Tesla and OpenAI right now. This is something you can put on a resume that will get you jobs, presumably for years, for many years in the future. In terms of SIP, we are SIP applicable. We already have run through SIP 1 and SIP 2. We have a movement system that I could talk about a little more if you want to come and talk about the SIP. No one's ever done it before. It is the first of its kind. We're working to limit nausea. That's something that we're still looking at mitigating. And it allows for persistence of your character model. There will be no teleporting out of the way of our Nerf darts. Your character model will be persistent in terms of movement while not using an analog stick or touchpad, which is the traditional way to move in a VR game. One of the things that we're doing, we're getting close to release now, so we are trying to do a lot of online promotion as well as events. I want to show a little bit of a video that we did for the Game On Expo, just to give you an idea of the quality of content we're creating and what we're doing outside of the class to promote the game.
You can never go into an expo expecting to be 100%. It just doesn't happen. Bugs, glitches, crashes, it's all along for the ride.
A lot of the problems that we encountered weren't really expected. We had a lot of problems connecting to the internet, making sure that the multiplayer was working. We couldn't quite get it right, but we at least got it up and running to where people could actually join in on the game and get the experience that we wanted them to overall.
But when the game is working, it is worth every ounce of carbonated liquid lightning we consume to make the game happen.
Alright. So, just know, if you are on the team, you will be visible. We will be going to events. We will be doing videos. There will be developer spotlights, all of that. You're going to get your face on the internet, and we're going to try and get this content pushed as much as possible. It's going to be great for visibility. Again, it's going to be stuff you can put in your portfolio. We'd finally like to show a trailer of where we're at right now. I know I've gone a little long, but our final announcement, and I think the best selling point on this game, is we release for early access in January of next year. If you want a released game in your portfolio, come talk to us. We'd love to give you a credit on the game. This is going to be a big deal. We're hoping that it gets our studio off the ground. We feel very confident that this is something that will not only be successful in the VR space, but something that will set up our studio to move forward, making similar games in VR, doing things people haven't done yet. Thank you so much. Our table will be right over outside the door. Please come and talk to us.
Alright, I'm going to try and churn and burn through this as fast as possible. I know we're running out of time. Once Unreal launches, I'll be able to turn it down. What's that? Alright. So my name is Alex Watson. I am the project lead for Operation Red Rhino. It is a multiplayer first-person shooter that aims to emulate a realistic battlefield by putting the objective and locale progression in the hands of the players. So we are set in 1960s Central Africa during a proxy war that was actually fought there between the United States and the Soviet Union at the time. So we're drawing from both real world events and just kind of making up our own little battles along the way. I want to get this out of the way right at the beginning. What we need is a character artist, animators, system designers, programmers, and UI artists. So if you fall into one of those categories, definitely perk your ears up, because we definitely need you. Our class system, we have our first 6 classes here that we worked on last semester. We have our leader, medic, rifleman, scout, saboteur, and grenadier. The top row right there, those are the ones that are going to be accessible by your team straight from the beginning of every match. The bottom row there, they're going to be unlocked via taking certain sections of the map. So your team is going to have to work together to kind of decide how you're going to work through the map, which ones you need to get to take out the enemy base at the end of the match. Here's some of the artwork that our subcontractors worked on. I know with the fall semester, there's a lot of new students coming in. A lot of you aren't in the class yet. A lot of you maybe haven't taken any classes. These are all done by our subcontractors. They weren't on the team. They were guys that had a lot of inexperience coming in. We worked really close with them. And we got a lot of great stuff, and we actually added all of our subcontractors that worked with us onto our team for this semester. So if inexperience is something that's kind of keeping you away from joining a team, we're really willing to work with you regardless of what you might think your current talent level is. And in all honesty, what you think your current talent level is probably way lower than what your current talent level actually is. Our big claim, we are SIP applicable. We've been approved for that. We have members that are actually pitching at the end of this semester, so this is all good. And our SIP feature is done. Charles, bashed his head against it last semester and got everything done way quicker than any of us ever expected. And it's our node vote system. So over here on this screen, this is actually how our map is broken out. You'll see the kind of nicer looking version, for lack of a better term, on the next slide. But this is what we functionally have right now. Your teams will start in that center node right in the middle there, and then the winning team of each round will actually dictate which direction across the map you're going to be taking, which nodes you're going to be moving into, which new nodes you're going to be taking down, with the ultimate goal to take down your enemy's base node at the end of the match. And then each node that you take here is going to have its own unique location, its own unique objective for that location, and then its own unique reward for your entire team moving forward as long as you own that node. You can see over on the side there, that's our class selection, and you can see that based on the nodes that team has, it'll gate which classes they have available to their team. So here's our first map. This is the layout of the nodes. You can see each side of the map has those three classes that I was talking about at the beginning associated with them. So they'll start in the middle there. There's the 2 movement nodes on the side. If you knock those out, you'll actually negate your enemy's ability to move through those nodes. And then there's the Grenadier, Saboteur, and Scout. Taking those nodes are all going to support your ultimate goal of taking that final base node. Here are some screenshots of our first 6 maps. This is our start node. Again, like I said, each node you're going to see has its own unique objective and its own unique kind of style. We're working with the map sides, so we're set in a jungle. One side of the map is more village focused. The other side of the map is more kind of like a rundown, overgrown factory style. So you'll kind of see differences as we move through these nodes. I just want to kind of go through these pretty quick because they're done, and that's not what we're going to be working on this semester. But here's our movement node that we have right now. Our scout node. And this is where you can see the kind of overgrown factory style coming through. Grenadier node. Our Saboteur node. and then our base node that we have right now. And this was done by 2 level designers last semester. So again, if you're worried about experience or talent or the amount of time you have to put into this, we're pretty flexible with what we can do with you guys. And that is the end of that. I'm going to jump into the demo real quick just to show what we have. Hopefully it doesn't break the projector. Come in here, host a game. Let's do this one. I'm not going to be able to play multiplayer right now because of this. We can't get around the firewall right now. But we can come in here, jump in. You can see, so right now we have 3 lot classes because we do not have those nodes taken right now. This is the first node that we'd be starting off on. So if I come in here, select Rifleman, we can come in here, we can choose our G3 class, and then we can pop into the map. Some of the cool stuff that we're doing in here is we're playing around with the way we're doing health, the way we're doing stamina, the way we're doing the way our equipment and stuff works. It's all going to be class based. So depending on what your class is, all those things are going to get a little bit different. So with our Rifleman here, you can see the yellow bar down there is actually ticking down as I sprint. If I continue to just kind of run and wear my guy out, his stamina is not going to come back. But if I kind of crouch down, take cover, take a little breather, that's going to tick back up. If I took damage right now, you would actually see that when you take damage, there's 3 different bars that'll tick down. There's our actual current health, which is the green bar that you can see right there, which is right now at 100%. There's our max possible health, which ticks down at a lower rate, but that'll actually affect how much health you can regain from health packs and stuff like that. So if you're the type of guy that just loads up on health packs, runs in, guns blazing, and just takes a ton of damage and expects to just keep healing up without having a medic nearby, you're not going to be able to do that in our game. You're going to have to think about it. You're only going to be able to heal up a certain amount depending on how much damage you take. So it's a little bit more of a strategic, slow-paced game than your average Call of Duty, Battlefield, something like that. We are offering internships through Cuban Medic Productions, so if you're interested in that, we need to know today. The cutoff is 5 p.m. So if you're coming up on your last semester or you want to get a head start on something like that, let us know, and we will definitely get that done today for you. And then again, we are SIP applicable, so if you want to get a head start on that, or again, you're coming up on your last semester, let us know, and we will go through the process. We have all the paperwork, and Natasha knows that we're going to be throwing people onto the team for that, so she's ready to go on that. Other than that, we are in Unreal. Unfortunately, we're the only Unreal project left in the production studio right now. So for programmers, if you know C++ or are willing to get into C++, definitely come talk to us. Charles, our lead programmer, is pretty much the Unreal programming guru at school right now, so he's definitely willing to work with you on that. Don't look at this and say, oh man, there's no way I can jump on that. That's been the big hurdle that we've been getting, and we're totally willing to start from ground zero 100%. So definitely let us know. Come check us out. We're going to be running multiplayer out in the commons. We're going to get a couple computers set up, so if you just want to drop through and check it out before you commit, come through, and you can shoot Isaac in the head because he's really bad at the game. There's a reason he runs the company, and he's not like the QA guy or something. Thank you guys very much.
All right, just to reiterate, if you are enrolled in the studio courses, these are the projects that you have to choose from. Quite a choice. It's going to be difficult. And even though you may sign up for one, we may have to do a little shuffling, but that almost never happens. So be flexible, work with us, and we will get you on a team of your choice, hopefully. All right, we only have one confirmed. Come on up, Bryce. Give Bryce a hand. He's our confirmed rogue developer today. All right, do your thing.
Hey everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Bryce Mangus, game art, game design majors. I'm going to be pitching you my SIP idea here because I need a lot more people, but I'll get to that. So the project name, Empathic Symmetry. Had a different name before, but it was lame and already taken. The game itself is going to be an over-the-shoulder single-player action-adventure game. We will be building in Unreal. I was considering using Unity, but a lot of people are using Unity right now, so I decided to mix it up a little bit. If anyone wants to use Unreal for anything, why not? Game itself is going to be taking place in the psychic apparatus. For those who don't know what that is, it's a psychological term, and it's going to be consisting of going through different emotions, playing through said emotions, and overcoming challenge based on said emotion. Heavy influence of the game is going to be color theory with the emotions, so it's going to be a very colorful game. So for any artists out there, if you're looking for anything very stylized or just in general, just want to kind of work free of not having to kind of think of anything, it is going to be very surreal as well. It's very early in pre-production, so we're still working out a lot of the kinks and trying to get a bunch of the GDD and ASG done. So if you also want to be part of a project and be able to contribute a lot to it, come find me. I mentioned it is a SIP project. The SIP is going to be involved using the EEG headset that we have in the tech labs. We're going to be using the neurofeedback to monitor the player as they're playing through the levels, see if they're in a positive, negative state of mind, and then change the gameplay accordingly. I do not mean this by if the player's thinking negatively, oh, it's going to make it easier for them so that way it's like, oh, okay, they can calm down a little bit. No, it's going to make it harder. This is meant to teach the player, hey, getting angry while thinking emotionally, not a good idea. Calm down. Go through the level, think positively, it'll be easier. Makes life easier. As I said, the art style is going to be stylized, very surreal. Thing that comes to mind when I think of what I want this game to look like, Journey comes to mind, although bigger color palette. Lots of colors, as many colors as you can think of. If you can't think of a color, start thinking of colors. Who I need. Notice that says who I need. I'm pretty much the only person on this project right now, so literally everyone and anyone who wants to join, come see me. Programmers, as I mentioned, we're going to be using the EEG headset. If you don't know how to get the input on that, you're not the only one. I'm still looking into getting that done. I've talked to Hugh about it. He's also looking into that as well. From what I've been told, it's not particularly difficult. Artists, I can use all the artists I can take. Concept artists, level artists, environment artists, character artists, any field that you want to kind of touch on. Again, come see me. I know Lynn runs a few classes that you need to be jumped on a project, so if you're not in the production studio and you do want to jump on a project that isn't part of the studio, again, come see me. Designers, I am talking with a few other alumni that I know as far as getting some designers to help out, but they're alumni, so they really don't have investment and they're all busy doing their own jobs. So again, designers, level designers, anyone who wants to come up with mechanics associated with emotions, if you think like that's going to be fun, I can use you. I don't have a table set up outside, but I'm going to be floating around because I know a couple other projects I'm still working on with Morpheus. So I'll be floating around if you guys want to talk to me, and if anything interests you as far as this, come see me because I can use all the help I can take. And that's it.
All right, grab a sign-up sheet here, Bryce, right here in the front. And Rogue developers, you're going to be at the table at the far end here. You've got signs for each one. Yeah, you do. You're important. Rogue developers are actually how Greenlight projects are born. So it's really important to support them as much as possible to get the vertical slice in place so that you can go Greenlight. We have sign-ups at the tables out here. We've got the signs out and available. We're running about a half an hour behind. So let's take a look at our schedule here. You didn't want to eat lunch anyway, right? Oh, okay. All right, so teams, I want to give you plenty of time to connect with all of your signups. And so why don't we go ahead and instead of meeting at 12:30, we'll push that an hour to 1:30. That'll give you plenty of time to chat it up, talk to your team members, get them signed up. Pick a spot in the Commons today because we don't have reservations in the ECs yet today. So we'll look for you out there. And then about, let's see, leads meeting 1:30. We'll look for you upstairs in the usual place for the Leads meeting. All right, any questions? All right, go sign up.
We did it on the